Hi, I'm MAC, and welcome to my channel. To all my returning subscribers, thank you. And to all my new subscribers, go ahead and hit that notification bell. That way you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. And all those who just came across my channel, go ahead, take a moment, listen. And if you like what I'm saying, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And also click that notification bell. That way you'll be notified as well. Today, I want to talk about healing comes with an assignment. And we're going to take the text from Mark chapter 5, and this is Jesus is healing the demon possessed man. And it starts off at verse 1. It says, They went across the lake to the region of the Gerasenes, where Jesus got out the boat, and a man with an impure spirit came from the tombs to meet him. This man lived in the tombs, and no one could bind him anymore, not even with a chain, for he had often been chained hand and foot, but tore the chains apart and broke the irons on his feet. No one was strong enough to subdue him. Night and day, among the tombs and in the hills, he would cry out and cut himself with the stones. When he saw Jesus from a distance, he ran and fell to his knees in front of him. He shouted to the top of his voice, "What do you want with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? In God's name, don't torture me." For Jesus had said to him, "Come out of this man, you impure spirit." Then Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" "My name is Legion," he replied, "for we are many." And he begged Jesus again and again not to send him out of the area. A large herd of pigs was feeding on a nearby hillside. The demons begged Jesus, "Send us among the pigs. Allow us to go into them." He gave them permission, and the impure spirits came out and went into the pigs. The herd, about 2,000 in number, rushed down the steep bank into the lake and were drowned. Those tending to the pigs ran off and reported this to the town and countryside, and the people went to see what had happened. When they came to Jesus, they saw the man who had been possessed by the legion of demons sitting there, dressed and in his right mind, and they were afraid. Those who had seen it told the people what had happened to the demon possessed man, and told about the pigs as well. Then the people begged and pleaded with Jesus to leave their region. As Jesus was getting into the boat, the man who had been demon possessed begged to go with him. Jesus did not let him, but said, "Go home to your own people and tell them how much the Lord has done for you and how he had mercy on you." So the man went away and began to tell in the Decapolis how much Jesus had done for him. And all the people were amazed. So we brought that text was an excerpt from Mark chapter 5. And okay, after Jesus had calmed the storm, he and his disciples sailed to a region of the the Gerasenes, which is across the lake from Galilee. This region was known as the Decapolis, the 10 cities, dominated by Greek and Roman culture. It was Gentile territory. In this event, Jesus landed on Gentile territory to plant the gospel among the Gentiles. So Jesus went on purpose to spread the gospel. Now, we question, why would God allow certain things to happen when it comes to demon possession? Let's visit that for a second. Now, demon possession is a real thing, but it's so controversial. Throughout the centuries, throughout the ages, demon possession has developed just an outward controversy to it. And the reason being is not everything is a demon. We have mental illness, which may be confused with demon possession. We also have misunderstood things of the Bible by man. And the reason why I'm saying that is, throughout the centuries, let's be clear, demon possession has taken place. And just like in this situation, the man was demon possessed and Jesus was able to heal him. And this is in the New Testament. See, in the Old Testament, demon possession was a real and true thing, but it wasn't really covered in the Old Testament. And I have some examples that I will later go over, but it wasn't until the New Testament, when Jesus came about, that we actually saw the process and how to handle demon possession. So we got to understand that God allows demon possession to accomplish his purpose and will. And what I mean is, you see, when Jesus sailed when Jesus sailed across to the Gerasene, it was the purpose to spread the gospel. So when he met the demon-possessed man, it was already preordained for Jesus to heal him, and he become a witness in doing God's will in spreading the gospel. I was able to find out that God allows everything to happen for a reason, and is always to accomplish his will. So in the Old Testament, we can look at 1 Samuel chapter 16, where God allowed an evil spirit to come over Saul. Now remember, Saul was the king who disobeyed God, and a series of events led to his replacement by King David. So in 1 Samuel 16, verse 14, it says, "Now the Spirit of the Lord had departed from Saul, and an evil spirit from the Lord tormented him." Now, the reason is not saying that God sends evil spirits. Basically, God allows the evil spirits that are already waiting in the darkness, in the background, to he just basically allowed them to come on Saul. They were already itching and determined to get at God's people or to get at mankind. But it's God who keeps us protected from those things. Is the Spirit of God, the acceptance of Christ, and the Holy Spirit that dwells in us that keeps our hearts guarded and protected from the possession of evil spirits. So it's not God himself that sends the evil spirit, but God allows the evil spirit to do his will, which is whatever that particular will is. And in this case, God allowed the evil spirit to come over Saul and torment him. And it says that in 1 Samuel 16:23, whenever the Spirit of God came on Saul, David would play the lyre, and then Saul would find relief. He would feel better, and the evil spirit would leave him. So God's ultimate will was to place David in place within the palace, right under Saul's nose, because David was later to become the future king of Israel. So it was God's will for Saul to suffer from an evil spirit, request David to come and play the harp and the lyre to soothe him, thus placing David within the palace, the very palace that he would later become king over. The evil spirit was allowed by God to torment Saul. All things all things are under God's control. So this evil spirit was a part of God's judgment to Saul for his disobedience, thus giving David, the future king of Israel, access to the palace, placing him right where he was destined to be. Okay. Satan can only do what God allows him to do. We see this in Job, beginning in when Job was tested. God allowed Satan to test Job, and we find it starting in Job 1 in verse 12. It says, "The Lord said to Satan, very well then, everything he has is in your power, but on the man himself, do not lay a finger on him." Upon hearing this, Satan went out from the presence of God. So basically, God allowed Satan to put Job through trials because God knew that Job was faithful. And I know it may sound a bit out there, but you would have to read Job 1 in order to get a real understanding. I I can't cover that and cover this at the same time, but what I can tell you is that Job was faithful, and God knew that, and God was so sure of Job's faithfulness that he allowed the enemy to put Job through trials because God knew that Job was faithful to him. And Satan can only do what God allows him to do because God told him, do not lay a finger on the man. So the enemy was able to upset the boundaries of everything around Job, but he couldn't touch Job himself. And if you read in Job, it talks about how Job lost his children, his land, his livestock. Job lost it all. But he stayed faithful to God. And because of that, not only did God bless Job, but God gave Job more than what he had at first. So the saying, God pays you double for your trouble, that's true. Now you gotta take in account that God healed the demon possessed man. And in Mark chapter 5, it says that when the demon possessed man tried to go with Jesus because he wanted to go with Jesus, Jesus told him to stay and to go to his own people and spread the word what God has done. And basically that was the will, for that was God's will. And that's how God accomplished his will, because God used that to spread the word of his healing, of his power. God works in mysterious ways, and God works through us to help others. Now keep in mind, it was kind of split down the middle, because people were amazed that he healed the demon possessed man that basically terrorized them. Night and day, it said that he would cry out and cut himself. No one could pass him. He broke the chains. He caused just complete hysteria among the people of that land. And God brought peace to that land. Now, this scared them as well, because the very man that they knew was possessed by a demon was now sitting down at the feet of Jesus in his right mind with clothes on. And they couldn't understand that. Well, half of them couldn't understand that. And the other half, they were taken aback. It says that they were afraid. because they didn't understand the power that Jesus possessed to do a miracle like that right before their eyes. They couldn't grasp it. So they asked him to leave. And the demon possessed man, well, now the ex demon possessed man that was now calm and in his right mind, begged to go with Jesus. And Jesus said, no, you stay. Stay and spread the word amongst your people to show God's power and what he has done for you. Tell of this. And that's what he did. That's the very thing he did. And that's how God accomplished his will. Because God not only was able to do healing amongst unbelievers, i.e., thus turning them into now believers, but he was able to light, um, just metaphorically speaking, he was able to light a match that set a flame throughout that entire land, basically spreading the gospel, spreading the word that Christ was a healer, that Christ was the Son of God. So, along with the healing comes an assignment, and that was his assignment. The demon possessed man was healed, and his assignment was to go and bear witness to his people as to what had happened and what was done for him. And we also see it in Psalm 66:16. It says, come and hear, all who fear God. Let me tell you what he has done for me. We're all to bear witness for the workings of Christ within us. We're all to bear witness of the healing that God has given us. You know, I'm reminded of the text, I once was lost, but now I'm found. I was blind, but now I see. That's a testimony. So, in conclusion, coming from Ephesians 6:10, it says, finally, be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers in the dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Our struggle is not against man, but against the dark forces of evil. And we are to spread the good news of what Christ has done for us and what Christ is doing for others around us. We are to bear witness of Christ's mighty power, just like the demon-possessed man was to bear witness for what was done for him. God allows certain things that he can accomplish his will, and his will is for everyone to be saved. God bless you, and I thank you. And until next time.